Good afternoon, and welcome to this afternoon's public hearing. This hearing will include Columbus City Council's Health and Human Services Committee. Specifically, we will be discussing the Local Food Action Plan 2018 Annual Report. I am Council Member Priscilla Tyson, and I'm Chair of the Health and Human Services Committee. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us for this discussion on the Local Food Action Plan. Before we begin, please be aware that this hearing is being recorded for rebroadcast on CTV, the Columbus Government Television Channel 3. The rebroadcast schedule is available at www.columbus.gov. I would like to acknowledge Commissioner John O'Grady, who you will hear from shortly. John and I began working on the Local Food Action Plan over 4 years ago as a joint effort between the city and the county. I also would like to thank the Franklin County Local Food Council for hosting today's hearing. You will hear from Kamara Smati, Vice President of the Food Council, momentarily. One of the goals of the food plan is encouraging collaboration and coordination amongst existing entities in the food system. And working with the Franklin County Local Food Council is essential to making this happen. Thank you to Dr. Mashika Roberts for allowing us to hold this hearing at Columbus Public Health. And I want to recognize Jaleesa Dawkins, Cheryl Graffinino, and Brian Estabrook. These are the members of the food team who are making the work we're doing on the food plan possible. So we're so thankful for them. We also have members of the Local Food Board representing today. Ernest Perry, who is the board chair, Matt Habish, Amy McCormick, and Ty Marsh. While Ty isn't presenting, Kyle O'Keefe from SWACO will highlight the food waste reduction efforts. And board member Michelle Moskowitz-Brown is represented by Local Matters team member Victoria Strickland, who will present on the Community Garden Grant Program. I also know that Randy Sokol, who also was on the board, is also in, I want to say in chambers tonight, but he's at this hearing tonight at the Health Department. A little bit of background on the food plan. I'm excited to be with you today to commemorate the Local Food Action Plan 2018 Annual Report. When we began working on this food plan, we did so with the understanding that food is important to the physical and economic health of our community and residents. In order to address the food-related issues, it was also clear that we needed a comprehensive plan that included everyone who contributes to the food system, from producers, processors, to distributors, and to the consumers. In our local food system, it is estimated that for every dollar spent at a local farmer's market, 30 to 45 cents stays in our area. Large chains only return 15 cents to the local economy. In Franklin County, 1 in 4 adults eat vegetables less than 1 time per day, and almost half of the adults consume less than 1 fruit 1 time per day. The Middle Ohio Food Bank estimates that each year, Franklin County residents who live at or below 200% of the poverty line are missing 69 million meals each year. 69 million meals. In 2018, 200% of the poverty level was $50,200 for a family of 4. In Franklin County, 65% of adults are overweight and obese, and 11% of adults have been told by their healthcare professional that they have diabetes. About 12.8% of the material entering the Franklin County sanitary landfill each year is food waste. That means more than 152,000 tons of food waste went into the landfill in 2018. In review of this data, it was clear that we needed a comprehensive plan of action to address these issues. After 2 years of work, both the city and the county formally adopted the Local Food Action Plan in November of 2016. This plan includes 4 goals and 27 actions. The goals of the plan include enhancing coordination and communication among existing food resources and agencies, improving access and education about healthy food, affordable food, and local food, increasing the role of food in economic development, and preventing food waste food-related waste. Today's hearing, we will focus on what we were able to accomplish in 2018. You will hear about several initiatives in our community, such as food waste reduction efforts being led by SWACO, the City of Columbus and Franklin County Community Garden support. The city provided $30,000 to support 34 gardens. I sponsored $10,000 of the city's contribution to that. The Mid-Ohio Food Bank USDA agricultural grant, which will support sustainable urban farming efforts, and the City Department of Building and Zoning will present on their efforts with High Tunnels, which is supporting urban agriculture. A project that I was very proud to sponsor is the Linden Farmers Market. The market served as a blueprint on how we can support growth and development of markets across our city. There are only a few of the projects you will hear about this afternoon. This hearing is packed with information which reflects the hard work of the food team members. Before concluding, I want to highlight the way in which this hearing is structured. We really want to focus on community impact. On each topic, you will hear from a business or government entity about their program or policy. Then you will hear from an organization or initiative that is benefiting from the program or policy. We thought that this would be a good way to showcase how the Local Food Action Plan is making a positive difference in our community. And now we'll turn the mic over to Commissioner John O'Grady.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for everybody for being here today. Thanks to my partner, Councilmember Tyson, for her leadership in this important endeavor, and thanks for hosting us here today. Thanks to the members of the local food team and to the members of the local Franklin County Local Food Council for your hard work over the past year. I'm going to keep my remarks very brief because I want to hear from our presenters and about the projects that they've been involved with over the course of the year. I want to keep the meeting moving forward and the community moving forward. And of course, I want to hear all of you. This is a public hearing. As we developed the Local Food Action Plan, we didn't want it to be a plan that would sit on a shelf. It was a guide to our work, and that work continues today. I'm excited about the progress that we've made so far, and I know that we've got a lot farther that we need to go. It's appropriate, though, that we celebrate our successes, so I'm eager to hear from our speakers. I'm also eager to hear about their projects, how the local food team and staff and the Local Food Action Plan has supported all of the success. How has the project impacted the community, and about the opportunities to learn more about the work as we get involved. So with that, let's stop talking and start listening. Thank you, everybody. So here we go.
Good afternoon. Thank you for attending the update to the community for 2018. This is our second annual update to the community. I'm proud to stand before you for the second year in a row as chair of the Columbus and Franklin County Local Food Board. What we've achieved over the past year is very impressive. What's more impressive is the community leadership that's been contributed to the local food plan priorities of local food access, the role of food in economic development, and food waste reduction. Councilmember Tyson and Commissioner O'Grady have been at the forefront of community leadership on these issues from the very beginning. I want to thank you for your leadership, and also want to recognize the leadership of my colleagues on the local food board, as well as the local food team represented here with me today. I believe this year's report celebrates the deep partnerships we are forging through important work that strengthens our local food system. Just a few years ago, I don't believe such a report was possible. We lacked a strategic approach to addressing the needs of our local food system. This changed when the Local Food Action Plan was adopted by City Council and the Franklin County Board of Commissioners in 2016. Today, we will experience how much stronger our food system is, as a result of the work and ongoing conversation our community has had to engage these priorities. The plan is a tool for building community. It offers a framework for ongoing conversation and engagement around shared aspirations for a strong local food system. You'll see behind me some of the things that we have outlined as the role of the plan, and you'll hear more about the specific ways this is coming to light later. And through our aspiration, we found a common vision for a food system that empowers people, respects the environment, and grows the local economy. Here to share more about the work and goals and activities behind this vision is Brian.
So Councilmember Tyson already laid out what the goals of the plan are, but I want you to think about them in terms of what they provide for the community. Goal A is about access. It's about coordination and communication. How do we align our interests in the food system? Goal B is about access and education. How do we make sure that everybody has what they need, the kind of food they need, and education about how to use that food? Goal C is about economic development and thinking about food as a driver of economic development. And Goal D is about food waste prevention and reduction, which is a critically underrepresented issue, but so important. And I'm going to pass it off to Cheryl.
Thank you, Brian. I'm Cheryl Graffinino. I am the Local Food System Strategies Coordinator here at Columbus Public Health, and I think I know the vast majority of you in the room. And as we think about the successes of the Local Food Action Plan's implementation, it is in no small part to the important implementation structure that was identified by the Working Committee when we developed the plan, with support from the Franklin County Local Food Council. And this is really the heart of Goal A in the coordination of the existing resources. So the implementation of the plan is established based on some key components. We have our local government champions with County Commissioner O'Grady and City Council Member Priscilla Tyson. And each of them help us identify and appoint the board members. So the core work group that moves this work forward is the Columbus and Franklin County Local Food Board that's made up of 12 members, 6 appointed by the county and 6 appointed by the city. And then we work strategically with them to help move their guidance and their suggestions and their recommendations forward. And that would be myself, Jaleesa, and Brian. We recognized right from the start that there needed to be people in this organization whose job it was to shepherd this plan forward. And from there, we work directly with our local food council, who you'll hear more from here in a moment, and work with them to develop community teams that help us move implementation forward. Jaleesa?
Those tasked with implementing the plan are committed to ensuring that all residents have fair and equitable access to healthy food, affordable food, and local food. Each of the goals in the plan has been developed with a commitment to cultural competency, ensuring a consideration of the impact of race, ethnicity, age, language, nationality, religious diversity, literacy levels, and residential mobility throughout implementation. This is the contact information for us for the local food team. Now you all are absolute experts on the plan, and by the end of the event, you can be our ambassadors anywhere that you go. So next we'll hear from Karima Samadi, who is the Vice Chair of the Franklin County Local Food Council, and thank you for hosting us.
All right, thank you, Jaleesa, and thank you, Commissioner O'Grady and Councilmember Tyson. You talked about collaboration and coordination. The Franklin County Local Food Council provides a pathway for residents of the city and of Columbus and Franklin County as a whole to be involved in the implementation of the Local Food Action Plan. The council is an independent, non-governmental organization made up of residents and local food system stakeholders, many of whom are in the room today. The local food council is led by an executive committee who are elected and supported by a steering committee, formerly known as voting members. And this change was mostly made to better reflect the job duties of those members in steering the council. And then we also have a membership committee that was formed in 2018, and it's been involved in actively trying to recruit more residents and stakeholders in the food system to the table. We recognize that to truly represent the community in the implementation of the local food action plan, we need to represent reflect the diversity of our community. So through the efforts of this committee, the Franklin County Local Food Council has seen 12 new members at meetings throughout the course of the year. Just to kind of give a quick overview, in August, in addition to our meetings, we also host happy hours every couple of months, and that are opportunities for networking as well as conversation. In August 2018, we had Kiara Barnett from the Kirwan Institute for the Study of Race and Ethnicity who talked about equity in the food system. In October, we had the Steiner Summit that was all about the OSU Food Waste Collaborative at MTSO. In November, we co-hosted a happy hour with the Urban Farmer Network, and that was hosted by Mike Hogan from OSU Extension. And just this past February, we had Julia Lynn Walker, who talked about developing African-American urban gardeners and kind of the history and all that. We also began pivoting our mentorship committee into a networking committee, just to, again, more about connecting and uplifting our existing assets to help further our efforts in collaboration. Also, most excitingly, in January, we awarded our very first local food champion award. So just to give you an overview, this was awarded to the Highland Youth Garden over in the Hilltop. And as an entity that provides community engagement opportunities to support the implementation of the plan, the council was delighted to assist the board in identifying outstanding grassroots community efforts to support the plan. So it was just launched, and we wanted to recognize individuals, groups, organizations, agencies, institutions that live, work, play, and worship in Franklin County that have significant impact in supporting those 4 goals that Brian mentioned and the 27 actions of the plan. So Highland Youth Garden was selected as the first recipient because of their efforts in removing barriers to accessing healthy foods, working with vulnerable populations, their educational efforts, as well as engaging the Hilltop community in a collaborative fashion. So actually, Teresa from Highland Youth Garden is joined with us today and might be giving some autographs later. So, all right, next up we have Dr. Roberts talking about. Okay. Do we have questions? No. Council member, okay.
I now have the privilege of introducing Dr. Mashika Roberts, since taking over the role of the Health Commissioner in December of 2017. Dr. Roberts has remained steadfast in her dedication to improving the health of our residents. As a Health Commissioner, Dr. Roberts leads the organization and a team of nearly 500 public health professionals who are focused on the neighborhood-based approaches that address the social determinants of health, from safe, affordable housing and education to jobs and violent crime, in order to decrease the health disparities that exist. Moreover, Dr. Roberts leads with integrity. I am personally grateful for her support of my initiatives with the food plan and serving as a commissioner on the Commission on Black Girls. I now turn it over to Dr. Roberts.
Thank you, Councilmember Tyson, and good afternoon. And welcome. I am pleased and truly honored to welcome you to our home here at Columbus Public Health. Thank you all for coming, and I'm so glad you could join us today. I want to thank Councilmember Tyson, Commissioner O'Grady, the local food board, as well as the food council members for your support of the local food action plan, and for all of your unwavering commitment to increasing our residents' access to healthy foods. Nutritious foods are a very important part of a healthy life, yet access to healthy, fresh, and local food is a critical need in our community. It is a sad reality that right here in Franklin County, 1 in 5 children are food insecure and more likely to experience chronic disease. And for many of our residents, it is further for them to travel to a grocery store than it is for them to travel to a fast food restaurant in their neighborhood. Too many times, the healthy choice is not the easy choice. We are all here to change that. In public health, we see firsthand the significant impact that food has on health, especially for our hungry neighbors. People who live in poverty are not only struggling to make ends meet, but they often are struggling with health issues as well. That's because that health is more than health care. The social determinants of health play a significant role in this picture. The social determinants of health are the conditions in which people are born, where they live, where they learn, where they work, where they play, where they age, as well as where they worship. And this affects a wide range of health, functioning, and quality of life outcomes. These circumstances are shaped by the distribution of money, power, as well as resources. Some examples of social determinants of health, as you can imagine, are the neighborhood. Is it safe? Are there sidewalks? Is there appropriate lighting for individuals to partake in healthy outdoor activities, safe, healthy outdoor activities? Is their housing safe and affordable? Do they have stable housing? Do they have job trainings and a living wage? Transportation, do they have reliable transportation? Access to health care, as well as healthy and affordable foods. Are they available where people live and work? And is there a neighborhood grocery store? Yes, nutritious food is a basic necessity of life, and it's critical to the health of all of our residents. Consider this, that low-income, food-insecure families are at greater risk of many costly diseases. Food-insecure adults are food insecure adults are at a 49% increased risk of diabetes, 49%. People who are food insecure are 32% more likely to be obese. School-aged children who suffered from iron deficiency anemia as infants from food insecurity found impaired memory and social functioning more than 10 years after they had received iron treatment. More than 10 years after they'd received iron treatment, they're still dealing with some of the consequences of that condition. Many chronic diseases are preventable or can be reduced through access to healthy foods. So together, we are all looking now at food through a new lens, and that uses public health policy and collaborative community efforts to reduce and eliminate inequalities in food. The Local Food Action Plan is a great example of that collaborative community effort. We've accomplished some great things together to ensure there is affordable and local food access in many of our high-need and low food access neighborhoods. We only need to look at the Linden Farmers Market, which launched last year, to see the enormous impact that these efforts can make. And I know you'll hear a little more about that in the program. But as Health Commissioner, my vision is a community where all residents have access to healthy foods. And one of the more basic things we can do is through access to good quality, healthy foods. So to that end, Columbus Public Health has a renewed focus on the social determinants of health to improve health outcomes and achieve health equity. We are actively working with other city departments and many community partners, like many of you in this room, to see how we can impact housing, physical activity, safety, and access to healthy foods so that we can address the root causes of poverty. Together, we can make a significant impact in addressing and reducing the health disparities we see in Columbus. If we reduce disparities, we're going to create stronger, healthier, and hunger-free communities. Columbus Public Health is proud to join you in this effort, and we will continue to work with you to achieve this goal. Thank you so much for your time.
So now I have the distinct honor of introducing Franklin County's Economic Development Director, Jim Schimmer. Jim has been the Development Director for Franklin County since 2005. He is a graduate of, I believe, they didn't give me a bio for Jim, so I believe he's a graduate of North Dakota State University. If not, then I just made that up. Jim also works closely with our suburban partners through closely with our suburban partners through the Mid-Ohio Development Exchange and with the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission. Jim got his professional start at Mr. Mancuso's nursery in Buffalo, New York, where he was raised. And the only reason he took that job as a teenager was, his dad made him go out and get a job, but he only really took that job because he really had an affinity for Mr. Mancuso's daughter. So, Jim Shimmer.
Commissioner.
Jim Shimmer.
Thank you very much. And actually, that is all true. And he texted me a second ago asking, he said, hey, I don't have your resume or your bio, I'm going to introduce you. And I thought, oh my God, what is it going to be now, But I really appreciate the commissioner, and you should too. And certainly Councilmember Tyson, fresh off her gig of bringing the Panini violin to Franklin County and Columbus, Ohio.
Thank you.
It turned out to be a fantastic event, and she has been so involved in so many different things, but personally, thank you for the Sister Cities Board for making that happen. And the Ohio Theater was sold out.
Yes.
It was outrageous, but you're involved in so many things, and certainly the food plan is one of the really important pieces. But let me just say that local foods represent what could be the best and most powerful tool for promoting community economic development. Some deals are so complex in terms of the economic development arena that we get involved with that really kind of only a handful of folks really understand what's going on. But when you have a local food project going on, everybody gets engaged on a neighborhood level, certainly, but on so many other different levels, because there's a thread that runs through that process, and it's a process that is the basis of community economic development, and that is neighbors learning who neighbors are and people learning who people are. Getting your hands dirty in soil or selling vegetables or trying to provide food to people who don't have it somehow is just a tremendous way of being able to bring folks together. And we're so proud of that. Local foods build those new social connections, those new skills, the idea of, most importantly, a new way of doing things, which has got so much great potential to make fundamental changes in our community and the fabric of our community. So building on progress, that's what I'm going to say. I know this is an annual report, but I want to point out some of the things that it just makes me smile to think about where we've come from. I see Matt Habish is here. I remember being a young person in the city government in Columbus working on things and remembering that there were events held at the CMC, the Columbus Metropolitan Club, that talked about the idea that communities needed to put in sidewalks. Now, I know that sounds a little bit funny, like we all take it for, just as common thing today, but the reality of it was that small little initiative to learn how something would get this community made better has been an important part of how we have built communities in Central Ohio and in Franklin County. And it's that kind of initiative that I look back and I see the food plan hitting on a couple of things. And I guess specifically I'll just point out the fact that economic development has been enhanced by the work that ECDI has done at the food fort. We see those food trucks around. Commissioner O'Grady was one of the early champions back in 2005, maybe 2006, of getting those food trucks established. And ECDI took on that challenge and initiative to get those things going. Some of those trucks have actually gone into bricks and mortar restaurants now. They are a fundamental illustration of economic development as built on food. Secondly, the Community Gardens program. It goes back to this concept that I mentioned earlier, is that social connections are built there. A neighborhood is made stronger because people all care about a garden. And I think those are something that's really, really important. And then I'm going to toss in a third thing today. And I want to recognize Ty Marsh. I see him out here in the audience today. And I'm not going to steal Mr. O'Keefe's thunder on this, but I will mention the point that they have talked about and have announced the Central Ohio Food Waste Action Plan. And my point there is that, like the kind of just very simple concept of putting sidewalks in neighborhood, we ought to be recycling food waste. And it has been an effort to get to that point. And SWACO has stood up and said they're going to do it. In fact, they are going to strive to cut out food waste in half by 2030. And that is economic development at its best. And thank you so much for having me today. Really appreciate it. We'll move on.
Good afternoon. All right, I might be the speaker with the broadest perspective. My name is Toby Redner. I'm the president and CEO of a group called the Council of Development Finance Agencies, and we're proudly headquartered here in Columbus, Ohio, but we represent the entire country. CDFA represents the folks that finance things. Think roads, bridges, sewers, wastewater treatment facilities, retail development, dormitories, housing, and we represent all the entities that issue bonds, use tax credits, do tax increment finance, or might use other development finance tools to support the built and non-built environment. Our focus here is that a few years ago, we were asked by a few food system folks to look at how the food system is financed. And what we came across was a broad question of, why don't we finance the food system in the same manner that we finance other infrastructure? If a community needs a road, they figure out a way to finance a road. If a community needs a wastewater treatment facility, they figure out a way of financing that. And so we began exploring the way the food system is financed. And if you would like some literature, we have a publication that talks a little bit about how the food system is financed currently in the U.S. and some of the challenges that we found. And the first thing we found was fragmentation. All sorts of disparate groups fighting for the same amount of funding and fighting for their causes, but not working together. And so our first effort was to define the food system as an entire ecosystem, from the folks working on scarcity and public health to the people working on how institutions buy and procure food, and everybody in between. And then the second element was, how can we use traditional finance to finance the food systems? Our communities, the counties and the cities, go to the bond market every day across the U.S. to finance all of their needs, roads, bridges, sewers, and development. Why don't we go to the bond market for the food system? Why don't we use traditional public finance to support economic development around food? From that entrepreneur and their food truck all the way to the food aggregators and the food hubs and everything in between. And so we were awarded a grant from the Kellogg Foundation in 2018 to study the exact idea of how do we get traditional finance to be used for the food system. We're happy to say we're 2 years into that grant, and as part of that grant, we were allowed to select 5 pilot communities to work in. And since we're homers, we chose Columbus and Franklin County, right? We also chose the state of Rhode Island, Seattle, King County, the Food Trust in Philadelphia. We're working in Pennsylvania with the Food Trust, and then Detroit and Wayne County in Detroit. Our 5 pilots are all very different. The one here that we're working on with Columbus and Franklin County is how to build an environment that supports food businesses, from an individual trying to articulate their business plan to get lending and small business finance support, all the way to big enterprises, thank you, that are trying to figure out how to expand and put in a new line. And so we're working with the great people here on that pilot, spending time, hopefully going to develop a business financing portal. And I'll say this on the record. We met with the Kellogg Foundation last week. We reported out what we're doing here in Central Ohio. We believe that if you can get this business financing portal off the ground, and we're helping with the research on the back end, it would be the first of its kind in the U.S. And so Columbus could be a leader in presenting food entrepreneurs, food businesses, and the food system with a direct resource towards financing what they're trying to achieve. And so I would just leave it with asking you the question. We look at so many things as critical infrastructure: energy, water, environment, roads, bridges, sewers, schools, dormitories, and housing. Why don't we look at food as the exact same way? and support this food action plan to encourage more public financing. Alex is going to talk about how you're actually doing it, so I'll hand my time over to Alex. Thanks, Alex.
Afternoon, my name is Alex Barris. I'm the Assistant Director at Franklin County Economic Development and Planning. I work under Director Schimmer and the Franklin County Commissioners, and so just really pleased to be here and talk about, really, this is our food action plan, in action, using Brian as our staff member in our house and thinking about food as economic development, as Director Schimmer said, but also working with Toby and CDFA on some of these things of looking at traditional economic development tools and flipping the script and using that for food. Because as Toby said, what CDFA does is traditionally the background that I come from. You asked me to figure out how to finance a sewer project going to an industrial park, and it deals with bonds and tax increment financing and all these other things. And I'm a pig in mud, I just love it. But then you go food systems, and I'm just going, I don't know about that. And so what's great with having Brian in our office is that he stops by and he goes, Alex, we should think about this differently. And Commissioner O'Grady goes, food is, economic development is our angle on food. And so we've taken that to heart. And what you're looking at here is a rendering of a project currently being constructed on Georgesville Road, just south of West Broad Street in Franklin Township, essentially on the side of that road that is the Westland Mall site. This is La Plaza Tapatia. They're a local family grocery store that bought a parcel of land that had some stormwater problems. Those stormwater problems were not anticipated, and they could not take those costs on. We approached them and put together a tax increment financing deal to help pay for that stormwater. That would never have happened. We would have never gone, those are tools that are used for big projects, factories and office parks. But we took that tool, that traditional economic development tool, in-house structured it so that, in an inclusive way, we were able to put together this deal and get this project moving. And so that's just a dip of a toe in the water of us taking our traditional economic development tools and recycling them and renewing them for our local food system and really putting, action into the words of the plan. And now I have the pleasure of introducing Kyle O'Keefe from the SWACO and Christine Weatherholtz from Columbus City Schools. Thank you, guys.
Good evening, and my name is Kyle O'Keefe. I'll be presenting with Chris Weatherholtz from the Columbus City Schools. Thank you, Commissioner and Council Member, for having us here this evening, and local food member boards as well. Food waste is not always understood or appreciated, and I think it's a really critical part of our local food system. Every day, almost 1 million pounds of food waste is landfilled by Central Ohio residents, and the impacts from that socially, economically, environmentally are significant. As a part of this, in our SWACO's goal to achieve a 75% diversion rate by 2030, SWACO has taken on this effort to address food waste in our community. Last September, SWACO launched the Central Ohio Food Waste Initiative to really address food waste and how we can work together. In fact, over 60 organizations have helped contributed to the Central Ohio Food Waste Action Plan, which was released just last week. In that plan, schools are really a central piece of how we get to achieving our goals for reducing food waste. And when we went through this process, it became very clear from all the participants that we need to be educating our kids. We also need to be working with our schools because they're the cornerstones of our community. They're the examples that we set for future generations and the example that we want to be as a community. And so SWACO is very excited to be working with Columbus City Schools to make all this possible. Let's see here if I can find the right clicker. All right, I found it. So we are very excited to be working with Columbus City Schools. Just last year, SWACO and Columbus City Schools was one of 8 communities and school systems around the country to receive a grant from the World Wildlife Fund. And the World Wildlife Fund does work globally around environmental issues. They've addressed food waste as one of their priority issues to address to help improve and reduce the environmental impacts around the world. Through this grant, SWACO and Columbus City Schools are implementing kind of new curriculum that helps to teach students about the importance of waste reduction, food waste reduction, but also even composting and other ways that we can recycle food waste. And so we are extremely excited to be working with Chris and Joe and everybody else there, and I'll hand it over to Chris to maybe share a little bit more about the project and the details.
Thanks, Kyle. My name is Chris Weatherholtz, and I get to do the fun part. My title is Nutrition Farm to School Curriculum Coordinator, Teacher on Special Assignment. And we joke about the number of words in my title, but the most important word there is teacher. I came out a teacher, my mom says, and that's what you see going on here. Mahatma Gandhi said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And we see it every single day, and especially through this initiative that was funded by SWACO, and then we joined their grant for WWF. And what you see here are children green teams that were, we had 4 buildings, 3 elementary, 1 middle school. Each building had a student green team. Now, you're going to find this very difficult to believe, but we got some pushback from adults. The children, every day, oh, we got to do this. And they did it. And to inspire, and like Kyle said, it's all about the education. They had assemblies to introduce and an assembly in the middle of the program. And so Wonder Waste Woman initiated all our waste warriors, and they all got a superhero mask from Columbus City Schools and SWACO to help them fight the evil methane man. And so they totally bought in, and they totally had the momentum to carry it through to the end of the school year. And they did wonderful, wonderful things. How has the local food team helped us? It was that organization, my director, Joe Brown, had me join these meetings on the local food action plan. It was the organization of bringing it together and making us aware. Gardens were on our radar. Composting came on our radar. And we started with our schools that had gardens at them because that was logical. And it went really well. The Green Team students, just amazing. The funding that came through from SWACO's grant to Columbus City Schools is such a help in the education part. So I'm going to kind of rush through a little bit. So we bought materials to educate our teachers and our children and to make it engaging. And all 4 schools will get those materials. What did we do? What was the impact? This was the impact. With just 4 schools, we have 112. With just 1,700 students, we have 51,000, 7,000 teachers. So we composted in just this short amount of time, like about 8 to 9 weeks, 30,215 pounds of food waste of that million a day was diverted from the landfill. And you can see the other impact that has on our community. So we want to say, we know it takes a village. You're our village. Thank you. For all of our partners that join us, we really appreciate you. Okay, to learn more, just see Kyle. Or just get on the website, and we thank you. Okay, Jaleesa, I'm sorry? Microphone, I'm sorry. Okay.
So the city and the county have partnered to provide funding to community gardens through the grant program since 2010. And the purpose of our grant is to provide financial and material resources to organizations who aim to repurpose underused land to 1, increase healthy, affordable, and local food access and education, particularly for gardens that benefit people in low to moderate income neighborhoods, and 2, to bolster community pride. This can be done through the creation, continuation, and/or expansion of community gardens.
Hi, I'm Lucy McMahon. I am the Senior Program Coordinator for Community Development at the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department. This year at Franklin County, we utilized Community Development Block Grant funds from HUD for the Community Garden Grant Program. Franklin Park Conservatory administers the Community Garden Grant. Mr. Bill Dawson from Franklin Park provides education and support throughout the growing season for our grantees. This year, about $32,000 was awarded to 12 community gardens located throughout Franklin County outside of the city of Columbus. This is about $12,000 more than last year. The county also provides community gardening spaces at the International Harvest Garden, which is located on Frank Road, and the Mountain Street Community Garden, which is located downtown. This is the first year that the Ohio State University Extension Office will be managing those gardens. The county-owned gardens and our grantees donate the majority of the produce grown in the gardens to local food pantries.
The City of Columbus has awarded 280 grants totaling over $300,000 since 2010. And like Lucy talked about, some of our great partners, Scott's Miracle Grow Foundation is another great partner, and they've donated thousands of dollars worth of topsoil, mulch, humus, manure, and plant food. And this year alone, they donated over 16,000 bags. So staying true to our purpose of repurposing underused land, 20% of this year's funded gardens are located on land bank property. And we know that what's produced in the garden is more than fruits, vegetables, and ornamental plants. We know that youth and adult education, self-confidence, and a sense of community and pride is also grown in these gardens. Many funded gardens are located in places where access to healthy and affordable food can be difficult. And for the city this year, 84% of our gardens that were funded are located in neighborhoods where infant mortality rates are incredibly high. And for the county, 100% of their grantees benefited low to moderate income neighborhood households. In 2018, the local food team worked with Councilmember Priscilla Tyson to get liability insurance for Greater Columbus Growing Coalition member gardens. They secured additional funding for Columbus Gardens and provided free soil testing through OSU Extension Franklin County to community gardens and urban farms who provide food to City of Columbus residents. And you can pick up a flyer in the back for more information for free soil testing. I'm going to pass it on to Tori to talk a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm not. I'm passing it on to Lucy.
Yeah. So this map shows the location of the 45 gardens funded with the 2019 City of Columbus and Franklin County Community Garden Program. It's exciting that this year 6 new gardens were funded. 11 gardens were considered expansions of existing gardens, and 28 gardens were considered to be continuations of existing community gardens.
All right. So Local Matters works collaboratively with schools as well as other organizations, Columbus Recreation Parks Department sites, as well as other locations around the city to provide healthful food education as well as growing food education. So through creating outdoor learning spaces within our gardens, we're teaching students how to grow food and connect with their food from the ground up. Not only to know where healthful food comes from, but how it grows, how to prepare it, and what it's going to do for our bodies to build lifelong healthful food habits. Not only do we work and collaborate with students through our 10-week Growing Matters curriculum, we also collaborate with the sites on building garden leadership within the community as well as within some of our partner site staff on ownership and building sustainable systems around growing food as well as food access within the communities that our gardens exist. So through the Community Garden Grant, Local Matters received $1,300 for the community park, or the Woodward Park Recreation Center Learning Garden, which is one of many Columbus Recreation Park Department sites that we collaborate with throughout the summer to provide 10-week growing education as well as helpful food education for students throughout the year. So what that means is that for 45 minutes a week, students engaged in growing education. We work with garden leaders, and that is one of some of the many sites that we work with throughout the year. Always ask on how you can connect with our work moving forward. Thank you.
So how can you get involved? These are all of the ways. Take a picture. But for the Columbus and Franklin County Community Garden Grant, if you would like to apply, you can go to the Columbus Foundation's website. All right. Thank you. And so next up, we're going to have Matt Habash and Cheryl Banks, as well as Demetrius Brown, to talk about the Mid-Ohio Food Bank Urban Agriculture Grant.
Even the old guy knows how to work these every once in a while. Commissioner O'Grady and Councilmember Tyson, I'm Matt Habash, President and CEO of the Mid-Ohio Food Bank. I think most of us know the food bank is committed to ending hunger, one nourishing meal at a time, while co-creating a community where everyone thrives. But one of the initiatives we took up several years ago was really saying, we believe food is health. We believe that, we want to study the question of how does a community feed itself. And so we really started to say, how can we help beyond our normal work of distributing the food that we're known best for? So we created an urban agricultural program. Started really small at the food bank. We had 2 gardens on site at the location we have in Grove City. We now have over 40 garden boxes there and an edible campus growing raspberries, apples, all kinds of things on the vacant grass that was there. Many know we operated Clearfield Farm for a number of years until we had to leave a year ago, but that was a very successful attempt in the south side of Columbus to really scale up an urban farm as we got into urban farms in Central Ohio. We have secured a second site at Wheatland, which we're now under redevelopment. Very challenging site given that it used to be the hospital site and it's got a lot of stuff in that ground. But we're committed to really building out a true education center on that site as well. And we've really been investing in urban farms. And this is the piece that I think for us has really been the catalyst. We had an opportunity a few years ago with Congresswoman Joyce Beatty to secure through USDA $900,000 grant. They asked us to basically to administer so we didn't have to create another nonprofit. And we really could step into a way to really look at our work differently. When you think about this was an amazing partnership, and I can tell you I've been involved in a lot of grant-making processes over the years on both the listening end, receiving end, deciding end. This team of people that came together from OSU Extension and the team here from the local food plan, the conservatory, and OSU INFACT really came together with our team and had one of the most robust grant processes I've ever seen. And it was one of these, even they even come back to me and said, hey, 2 of your favorite gardens aren't getting funded this year. Are you okay with that? And I said, yeah, I'm okay with that. You guys made the decisions, you decided what you do, and we've been able to give out over $500,000 worth of grants to both profit-making and nonprofit farms right here in Central Ohio. And we're real excited about the ability to do that and to continue to do that. So we're back with USDA talking about the next round of what that could look like. But this was really about enhancing and primarily around the concept that Congresswoman Beatty had about high tunnels and what could we do to improve year-round growing. And we had to work with the city. I thank Tony Celebrezzi and his team over there for working with us, because when you put urban farming inside the city, as Cheryl and everybody, it's not an easy concept. And we were able to step into that space collectively together and come up with solutions that work so that we can, in fact, continue to grow and support urban farming right here in Central Ohio. We funded high tunnels, we funded water lines for irrigation, a lot of wash pack stations for growing, and a lot of critical supplies. Just recently, in addition to supporting, we launched a farm tool and equipment library featuring this 2-wheel tractor for growing, which I've never heard of, to more efficiently prepare and cultivate small spaces and growing in larger yields in partnership with ModCon Living. So we're excited about the ability to have some additional tools. But what I'm really most excited about, you've already heard and they've got an award, is the work that the Highland Youth Garden is doing. And I think for them, they exemplified to me the epitome of what this is all about. And with me is Cheryl Banks and Demetrius Brown, and I'm going to turn it over to them to talk about what they've really done. And these are the real stars of the show. Thank you.
We're happy to be here. Thanks to Mid-Ohio Food Bank, the Highland Youth Garden, now celebrating its 10th year, has heightened its impact in the Hilltop community. Here, we grow 4,000 pounds of produce on a nearly half-acre site, including one city land bank lot. We send this produce home with students, pass it out to neighbors at our monthly community gatherings, sell it at the Westgate Farmers Market, and deliver it to food pantries. Most importantly, nearly 500 youth learn to grow and love fresh produce through bi-weekly classroom visits, an after-school garden club, and summer programs. With funding from Mid-Ohio Food Bank, the garden now has a high tunnel, really high tunnel, so students can grow and learn year-round. We also have added automated climate control to the high tunnel to maximize personnel and production. We're most excited about a recent Mid-Ohio Food Bank grant which funds Green Teens internship program that will employ 10 Hilltop teens this summer. Demetrius is joining me today to share his favorite memory of the garden and update us on how he now serves. He has been in the garden since he was 3.
Hi, I want to talk about my memories, favorite moments, and what I have been doing now. First, my favorite memory of the garden is when I was little. Mr. Bill taught me how to use the rototiller, and I enjoyed it. Some memories I have of the garden are when we started to change the garden. The first thing we built was the bridge, and now we have come a long way since then. For example, we now have a high tunnel that kids and adults can learn and work in all year. Now I want to talk about things I have learned from the garden. One of the things I have learned is how to communicate with others. Another thing I have learned is how food is planted, harvested, and sold. Now, at the age of 13, I am the first youth on the board, and I am teaching other youth in the garden. For example, I have taught other youth how to plant radish seeds. This summer, I plan to volunteer at the garden. I want to say thank you for your time, and you are welcome to visit our garden.
And Tony is coming up next.
Good afternoon. My name's Tony Celebrezzi. I'm the Assistant Director for the City of Columbus Building and Zoning Department. You're in real trouble when you bring a regulator in because you're going to have boring slides, no really fun pictures. But my hat's off to the food team, to Cheryl and Brian, working with them over the previous numerous months to try to figure out how to take the regulations that the City of Columbus has to adhere to, because we're certified by the state of Ohio to implement the Ohio Building Code. And so we've got to keep that certification because any building built or altered in the city is going to have some involvement from us. But then to apply some common sense to that so that we can get these season extension high tunnels up without having to go through too much red tape, too many hoops to get through. So, and while I talk about high tunnels, same with sheds or any other structures on these parcels are things that are of interest to us. Just as a little bit of background, the department is made up of 3 sections real quick. The building section is essentially the building walls in of any structure. The engineering section, which does site plans, are the building walls out. Where does that building sit on the plot? Where's streets and rainwater flow and all that? And then the zoning, which is the key to it all, which is basically their mission is to minimize conflict between different user groups in the area. So our challenge was to figure out how to help Mid-Ohio Food Bank get high tunnels season extension structures on these sites without costing thousands of dollars and taking, unfortunately, multiple weeks of getting through the process. So we had to first look at what was being used in them. And the 2 different types, simple growing structures were much easier than those that are going to have, like Highland
elementary where they have kids in there, because we've got to worry about life safety issues. How do folks get out of one of these structures if something happens? And then on top of that, how do we allow electricity and water into these facilities? It's always a challenge, but where there's a challenge, there's always a solution. And we were able to come up with that with a pretty simple process in the end. It just took a lot of banging our heads on the wall to figure out which way to go with things. And essentially what we came up with is the directors allowing us to use a little bit of discretion with our authority. And for these high tunnels and caterpillar tunnels and all things like that, we're asking the folks just to create a site plan, which is essentially a map of the parcel, where the paths and fences and things take into account like vision triangles at intersections, and basically trying to keep it so that we don't need to get involved. Keeping structures 12 feet away from each other, keeping fences under 6 feet, using raised beds. Don't disturb more than 2,000 square feet. Keep the water division out of this. And basically what that map, we ask folks that are applying to email it to our zoning folks. They're going to give an informal approval of it, and that keeps you in compliance with the zoning code, but you haven't had to go through our entire process. So anyhow, that was, in the end, it took a lot of gyrations to get there, but we did. And then there's the whole concept of sheds. Bottom line, keep sheds under 200 square feet and don't put them right next to the parcel line. And that's it. Next is Amy and Twinkle.
Good evening. I am Amy McCormick with the Kroger Company, and you may be thinking, why is a grocery retailer here? And earlier, Councilmember Tyson mentioned the missing meal gap in Franklin County. So I want to take you on a quick journey. Go somewhere with me. I want you to go grocery shopping at Kroger. I want you to buy 5 bags of groceries. I want you to go to your car, put 3 of those in your car, leave 2 in the parking lot, and go home. You may think that's absurd, and it is, but we do that every day in the United States. 40% of our food produced goes to waste. But yet 1 in 8 Americans go to bed hungry. And Commissioner Roberts mentioned earlier, 1 in 5 children go to bed hungry right here in our backyard. And in 2017, the Kroger Company decided to do something about that. And we set a bold mission to end hunger in the communities we operate and remove all waste from our stores by 2025. We have a lot of ways in which we're doing that, and we're proud to be a part of the Local Food Action Board. And I personally want to thank members of the Local Food Action Planning. Everyone is very helpful. Ernest showed a slide earlier. It kind of resonated with me when we think of what the plan does, and it mentioned foster community collaboration. And that's what we at Kroger are very fortunate. We're able to bounce ideas off, talk through things. We have a lot of folks here in the room that we contribute to and we're partners with. Local Matters, SWACO, Mid-Ohio Food Bank, Children's Hunger Alliance. The list goes on and on. But at the end of the day, it's going to take all of us. And one of the things that we really are working on is we do funds, we do food, but we can't just continue to feed. We have to get to the root of what caused someone to not know where their next meal's coming from. And so today I have with me Moms to Be Program Director, and I will turn it over to Twinkle and let her share a little bit about a great organization that we are very proud to partner with. And again, it's that bringing it full circle, not just giving a meal. Twinkle?
When you came in, there was a hot card, and I wanted everyone to pick up one. This is the program Moms to Be. We work with pregnant moms. We help them have healthy babies. We keep them in the program until the baby turns 1. And as the first slide shows, we care through food. Now that might seem like, okay, that's a really nice thing to do. But it's a lot more than that, because what we really want moms to do is to take care of themselves so that they can take care of their babies. Most of our moms, the pregnancies are not planned, sometimes not wanted, and it's a really tough job to feed yourself when you don't have enough food to eat. So we partnered with Kroger early on, and we said, Kroger, we need help, and we need help with There's so many things a mom can't buy without money, without an ability to buy non-food items. Is there any way we could partner to get gift cards? And so, that's always a kind of unnerving to ask. And she said, well, how much? And I said, $5. And she said, $5? What would $5 do? I said, for people that have nothing, $5 is everything. Because you can have food, you can get food covered, but there's so many items you can't buy without money. And so like sanitary products and diapers and wipes, just things that people need to survive. So when we started Moms to Be, we have a 2-hour group. It's group education. It's focused around food. It's focused around nutrition. It's focused around being healthy. We don't have one cause that says infant mortality happens because of this. We have many factors. And so we're in the hotspot areas. There's 8 hotspot areas. You can see them on your card. We provide a $5 incentive every single week when the moms come. And the dads also get a $5 gift card. We help them be healthy. We help them make good food choices. We cook a heart-healthy meal, and we make sure that while they're there, that the whole time that they're with us, we talk about the next time they visit. So when we see you next week, this is what's going to happen. When next week we're going to get through this, because anticipating the future when you don't have a lot of planning skills is really difficult. We use the term CPR, consistent, predictable, reliable. We're there every week in each of these 8 locations, and you're going to get a different lesson, but you're going to get a lot of the same attention and affection. And if we don't teach babies to eat healthy early on and moms how to take care of their babies, the cycle's just going to completely go around again. Well, when we said we partnered with Kroger's, we did that early on. We also partnered with Mid-Ohio Food Bank. So we have 8 sites. At 5 of our sites, the Mid-Ohio Food Bank van comes, and we shop family style. So this is just like a farmer's market. There's someone that shops with each and every mom. We talk about the produce. We talk about how good it is. If they never tasted it, we cut it up and taste it. We talk about different ways to cook it, and we help them carry it because produce is heavy. It takes about, it's like 30 pounds of fresh fruits and vegetables each and every time that they shop. So we have transportation, and we help them get home. I made friends with the cab drivers so that the cab drivers will help carry it into the house so the mom's not pregnant and holding a bunch of other kids and also trying to carry their food in. If you'd like to come and visit us, we'd love to have you. We need hands to hold babies. We need hearts opened up to talk to moms with a non-judgmental attitude, and we're always looking for more people.
And if you want to learn more about our Zero Hunger, Zero Waste plan, you can visit thekrogerco.com, or you can reach out to me individually, and I would love to have a conversation with you. Thank you. And now we have Jamie Moore, President of Ohio Farmers Market Network, and Julia Lynn Walker.
Good afternoon and happy market season. My name is Jamie Moore, and I am the president of the Ohio Farmers Market Network. And we are an organization, we're a 501c3, and we really give voice to market managers and producers throughout Ohio, more specifically right now in collaboration with the City of Columbus and Franklin County Local Food Action. And you'll hear from my colleague here, Julia Lynn from Bronzeville, in just a moment. So in partnership with lots of people, not just members of the action plan team, farmers market managers, organizational members and such, we were successful in a USDA FMPP, which is known as Farmers Market Promotion Program grant. And it's a 3-year grant to study, to market, and to train. And more specifically, it is growing Central Ohio markets through public-private partnership, planned growth, professional development, collaborative branding for food producers and market managers. So those 3 parts of the grant are very active on top of a very active farmers market season that we are all heading into. But research includes market research, customer research, research about the communities of people that our markets exist in. Our marketing is just that. How do we get the word out about not just a single farmer's market, but farmers markets throughout our region? Our region is, for this purpose, defined as not just Franklin County, but the adjacent counties and Fayette as well. We are enhancing the local food guide in partnership with the Ohio State University. We are creating a market trail card. We have social engagement, Grow, Eat, Ohio. Hopefully you're starting to see that come out. And we'll be hoping to share the word of all the markets and all of the good things that we are doing together. And third is the training and technical assistance piece. And we successfully graduated just about 20 market managers from our first ever cohort this past winter. And so we are super excited to say that we have certified market managers here in Franklin County, and that is a growing and expanding area. Julia Lynn.
When she said that, I realized I was remiss because I should have my market manager button on and I don't. So, you know, imagine that you see it, because I'm certainly a recipient of the program and a very grateful one. The Brownsville Growers Market is sharing the wealth from the East Market to Carl Brown to the to the Brownsville Growers Market. And we say that to reinforce that historically there has been the production of fresh produce not only on the Near East Side, but many other local communities. And so for us first is to reconnect with that intrinsic element within the community itself. Secondly, and I want to quote, in 2013, there was a blueprint for community investment that was released and presented to the public by PAC, a coalition composed of the City of Columbus, The Ohio State University, and the Columbus Metropolitan Housing Association, that was specifically designed to look at improving the Near East Side economic possibilities. And specifically, within this blueprint, it said, and I quote, there should be the establishment of an anchor community grocery store in PAC that would be used as a health hub for the community offering. 1, nutrition consultation. 2, shopping strategies. 3, to be a center for community health resources. 4, customer incentives, reward system, and for the purchase of fruits and vegetables. But this never happened. So after 5 years in 2018, the Brownsville Growers Market, recognizing that there appeared to be insurmountable obstacles at the macro level, said, what can we do at the micro level to come in and address these kinds of issues? Because the Near East Side, as is true for so many other areas, is not only they say, press it, there we go, it exists not only within a food desert, meaning that there is the lack of affordable, fresh produce within 1 mile, we're located at 17th and Mount Vernon, but there's also a food swamp in that there is a number of fast food outlets that do not provide healthy and nutritious food. But this project, therefore, in helping us to grow from this very micro-organic basis has been extremely important in terms of the provision of technical assistance through the farmers market management, through the provision of information, through the local food action plan, and having a voice at the other end of the line when we needed to call and say, we're stuck. What do we do now? And I think that that's a very real need. So as a result of this process, not only is there the development of fresh produce, because we work very closely with community gardens that are moving from a philanthropic position to a more social enterprise position, but also working with the food recovery program that has been developed through the Neighborhood Leadership Academy, and then also through working individually with various community gardeners. So you have information on our contact details. We have hot cards at the back. Please take a bunch, and we look forward to seeing you at the Brownsville Growers Market after June 27th. Thank you, and I now want to bring to the podium John Boxhill and Tyra Glover.
Good afternoon.
want to certainly thank Commissioner O'Grady and Councilmember Tyson for their support and involvement today and those of the Local Food Action Plan. Again, my name is John Boxell, and I serve as the Chief Operating Officer for New Salem, but also am a volunteer with the Linden Farmers Market. Over the past, there have been a number of challenges in our area. There's been certainly, we've had a strong African American community, but now we see that community has grown over the years. It's both become mixed and divided, especially divided as it relates to socioeconomic factors, facing a lot of disinvestment, steady loss of population, and also of neighborhoods and businesses. Recently designated a food desert, we've also seen the concurrent suffering from most major health disparities. One of the things that we were offered through working with our folks and partners with the City of Columbus and the Health Department was to develop a plan that would help us to put in a farmer's market in a very, very short period of time. And so we were able to do that with less than about 60 days. We're able to put together a plan to put in place a farmer's market. What it looked at was both support from the city, but also the use of both our trust that we've had experience within the community itself, as well as creating a lead community anchor, someone who the community recognized and could trust to make sure that we were providing for their benefit, and utilizing local leadership. Our farmer's market manager is someone who lives in the community. We completed our 10-week season. We offered locally grown produce, cottage foods. One time we did have a meat vendor that was there, canned foods, body, home, and cultural products. We saw 75% of our customers were returning customers. We did have 25% who were walk-ups to the market. We provided $1,750, I'm sorry, forgot to click that for you. We provided $1,750 in food assistance funds, and $1,500 in incentive dollars were distributed through the market itself. We averaged about 20 vendors each week. 30% of those vendors, we're happy to say, came from the Linden area. One of those we want to introduce today is Tyra Glover. So, Tyra.
Good evening. I'm thankful to be here. As a vendor with the Linden Community Market, it was a great blessing and a great opportunity. It allowed me not only to give back, which is our common goal, but to also network with other vendors, and most importantly, to get involved with the community. I'm very thankful to be on the team that wants to give back, and most importantly, for me, my personal goal is like no children, no child, no person, but mainly the children should go hungry. Thank you.
Again, our market season this year will be from on Sunday afternoons from 12 to 3 from July the 7th through September 6th. And we look forward to it. Our market manager is Landon Adams, and again, Tyra Glover, who's owner of TGJ Fresh Produce and Flowers. Thank you.
And now we'll have public comment. We have one speaker, and the speaker is Jody Mitchell. Ms. Mitchell, please come up to the mic. You can state your name, who you represent, and you have 3 minutes to share your information.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name's Jody Mitchell. I'm with Perfectly Imperfect Produce, and we are excited to be a new partner in the Columbus community. We rescue produce from wholesalers and local farms, and we package them up in boxes that get delivered to homes and to workplaces. And so we are excited by this, all the action plans that are happening and the great collaboration in Columbus. And we look forward to partnering with all the folks here to make this happen. We also, with the generosity of our subscribers, we are able to give back to the community. So last year we gave over 40,000 pounds of produce back to our food pantries to supplement the great work that the food bank does in the community as well. So we really see ourselves as a partner to this effort. And we also partner with employers to bring this need of healthy eating and nutrition to the employer work spot, and to have a community-driven program that provides healthy produce for employees, and they get a discounted delivery to have it delivered to the work site. So there's different ways that we have, and I have a sample box here if people are interested in looking, but we're just very excited by the plans here in Columbus.
Thank you, Ms. Mitchell, for coming and sharing the perfectly imperfect produce. We look forward to working with you. I am just really pleased. We didn't ask any questions today because we really wanted to make sure that we had time to listen to each of the presentations and to make sure that as we were learning about the different initiatives that each of you are doing, that it was an opportunity for us to listen and then for us to be able to certainly work with not only Cheryl and Jaleesa and Brian, but also to be able to work with you to continue to hear the great work that you're doing in our community. So we're very, very pleased. And the other reason I'm going to say a lot of thank yous in a few minutes, but again, this hearing was really important because it is sharing the 2018 annual report that is now officially out of all the work that happened within this past year. And to sit here with my friend, Commissioner John O'Grady, and to think about where we started in this on this work 4 to 5 years ago, and to see this plan and the work that has been done by each and every one of you to make sure that we're focusing on, again, food waste, looking at food as an economic driver, making sure that people have access and education to healthy food, affordable food, and local food. It really is a pleasure. This was a plan that we always stated would not sit on a shelf, that we would focus our efforts in these areas. And again, just to listen to these presentations today, I feel so blessed that we're all working together to be able to change the food equity, food waste, food as an economic driver in our community, and it can only be done because of each and every one of you. I, as a council member, certainly, I pass legislation every week. I understand my legislation, but there are a number of initiatives that I have certainly put my significant time and investment in, and the food plan is certainly one of those. And I'm thankful to be able to be here today and to hear all these wonderful accomplishments that we have heard today. And so I will, before I say the close out this hearing, I'm gonna let my council colleague, but my Commissioner John O'Grady to be able to make some closing remarks.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Councilwoman, for hosting us and allowing us to be a part of this hearing for the city. I was whispering to Councilwoman Tyson that, at the courthouse, we started some of this work back as far back as 11 years ago when I first became a county commissioner, just kind of getting in the ground, doing some gardening with some of our immigrants in the immigrant community, and I was, sometimes it was like pulling teeth to get folks to be willing to spend a few $1,000s just to get some city water hookups to be able to put water into the gardens. And then from there, it built one, little action after another. We took people to Cleveland to learn more about what they were doing there and gardening and some of the things that were going on in that community. And then one thing led to another, and we kept doing more. And we looked around the country to see what other people were doing around the country. And then eventually we hooked up with the city and partnered with Councilwoman Tyson and all of the things that have culminated in what we're doing now. And we focus in our economic development and planning department, and we're working with manufacturers and producers and restaurant owners and growers, and we're looking at it from the perspective of health and providing for meals, and we're working with SWACO, and we're working with Mid-Ohio Food Bank, and we're working with so many partners in this community. And I look back to 11 years back, and $2,000, Jim, just to get water hookups, and it was like twisting arms. And today, we're looking at the thousands, tens of thousands of dollars that we invest in as was reported earlier, in in community gardens, but also the millions of dollars we're getting back in federal grant dollars, you know, and working collaboratively with the city. And it's just amazing what's happened over the course of all this time. And then to see the work that this organization's done and the work that this food board's done. And so I'm not only proud of what the city staff and the county staff's done, but then to expand to the work that so many of you volunteers in the audience have done as well. It's amazing work, and it's amazing what you've done on behalf of the residents of this community, and I'm very proud of all of it, and proud of you guys for all the effort that you've put in on behalf of the residents of this community. So thank you. Thank you.
So I'd like to thank each of you for your testimony today. The number of presenters and collaborative efforts you heard about today reflects the local food action plan is being successfully implemented and the work is being driven by the community. We cannot do this work without each and every one of you, all the partners that are here today who have joined forces to prioritize food as a resource that helps our community in numerous ways. I would like to thank our presenters and everyone who is joining us here today. Before I conclude this afternoon's hearing, I will recognize today's presenters. I want to first recognize Ms. Karmai Samadi of the Franklin County Local Food Action Council for hosting this with us and being such an amazing community partner. The Local Food Action Team, Cheryl Graffinino, Jaleesa Dawkins of Columbus Public Health, and Brian Estabrook of the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning. And I just have to say, these three individuals, they work on this full time, and we are so thankful that we've been able to have them be able to lead this team, working closely with us and each and every one of you. So we just thank you for your leadership. I also want to thank Ernest Perry and the local food board chair and each of the local food board commissioners. Thank you for your leadership. It's a diverse group of people that absolutely have their tentacles in all the different areas. They're learning from each other and things are happening. So thank you very much. Dr. Roberts, who is our Columbus Public Health Commissioner, for hosting us and certainly understanding clearly the work of the food plan and looking at it as, you know, from an equity standpoint, and I thank her for that. Director Shimmer, thank you for your warm comments, and thank you for your leadership in economic development. And for Toby and for Alex, I am so excited about looking at funding in a very different way to support all of our growers and new restaurant owners, and just thank you for this, because certainly we've never really had a real plan, and very excited that we're one of the few cities that are getting this funding and this leadership. So thank you to Kyle and to Kyle, I really want to say thank you for just your leadership in terms of looking at the education around recycling food waste. Thank you very much. I don't see Kyle, but thank you again, Kyle. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the presentation, and certainly to Christine, I love your energy, and certainly I know that based upon what you shared with us today, you would keep those young people between you and Kyle, those children, very excited about looking at food waste and eating food waste. And so that's where it all begins. We have to start early. And so I thank you for your leadership. To Lucy and Victoria from Local Matters, and Lucy from the Franklin County Economic Development, and Victoria Strickland, thank you very much. Local Matters is such an amazing partner with us. Matt Habash, thank you for your leadership. Thank you, Cheryl Brooks and Demetrius Brown. I hope his mom and dad will see him when this is replayed, so that's showing that he is, making a difference in our community. Amy McCormick and Twinkle, thank you for that partnership, and it certainly does make a huge difference when individuals are being able to have, pregnant moms are able to eat a healthy meal every single day. They're going to have a healthy baby, and their children are going to be grow up to have a wonderful quality of life. To Jamie Moore, who's been certainly an amazing partner of ours, and I thank you so much for the work that you did last year for the Linden Farmers Market and what you're doing now with that amazing grant to be able to help all the other local growers and farmers market and the certifications that people are getting. So thank you. And then to John Boxell and to Tyra, thank you very much for your leadership in presenting. I love what I do when I see things like this coming together. And so I say thank you. Thank you to Commissioner John O'Grady for this amazing partnership that we've been able to have together to ensure success. I thank my staff, Nicole Harper and Carl Williams. I always have to thank CTV. Without them, we will never be able to show the fine work that we're doing in the city of Columbus to all of our residents in Columbus and Franklin County. And lastly, I have to always thank the residents of Columbus who make our city the best place to live, work, and to raise a family, as well as the residents, since we are part of Franklin County, and all the residents of the county. It is a blessing and an honor to serve you. And so thank you very much for your work. It is making a difference in our community. So continue the work that you're doing, and we enjoy being your partner. And the hearing is adjourned. Thank you, John.